Hello everyone, it's Lori with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Animal Sanctuary. Welcome to Training Tuesday for October 10th, 2023. This week we're going to start out with a short, excellent session from Soji, one of our Python Regis. And I'm not going to narrate it because it's so short and it goes so fast I couldn't keep up with the narration. I inserted that clip into this video to show you what an experienced beginner looks like. She is definitely now at the skill level where I can start shaping more complex behaviors. So you will see in the following clip that she immediately recognizes and acknowledges the target. She orients towards it and she moves towards the target. And then she hesitates slightly and starts looking for reinforcement. She does this very quickly, very fluidly, and with a lot of confidence. That is the level that you want this very, very basic behavior to be at before you start shaping more complex behaviors like longer duration holds before you give reinforcement, or moving further distances, or following the target out of doors or onto stations or into certain body positions. So let's take a look at Soji's session and keep this level of confidence in mind as you watch the next two sessions. Okay, next you're going to see Una, who's a female Liasis fuscus. She is an imported wild-caught Indonesian water python. This is only her second training session ever. Her first training session, I set the target in her enclosure and I put food on it and I left it there for not even an hour and came back and it was gone. So now this is her second target training session ever where I'm actually presenting the target and pairing it with food. And I may have shown this in one of my Liasis videos or a prior Training Tuesday video, but I'm really breaking it down here. So first you're going to see the session sped up, and it may not look sped up, but believe me, it's sped up. And you're going to see it from the view that I saw it. And then you're going to see the same session, and I have slowed it down to normal speed, and I've zoomed in on her because the goal of you watching this is to really watch her body language and recognize why I'm not changing anything I do. We want to change our behavior based on the animal's behavior. And based on her behavior, I determined I didn't need to change my behavior. The target was there. It was paired with food. I was watching her body language, and it told me that I needed to just hold in position where I was and let her figure it out and come to the target and take the food. So let's take a look. I am going to narrate Una's session for you because it's slow enough that I have time to talk and let you know what's going on. So again, this is sped up to 2 times normal speed. She was out in her enclosure in an ambush position, and I paired the target with food. This is the same target that I set in her enclosure during her first training session and left the food on and came back later and the food was gone. So this is the very, very first time that I am pairing the target with food and that I am presenting it to her on tongs while I'm standing there. She takes quite a while to approach and take the reinforcer, but when you see this slowed down to normal speed, you'll understand why I didn't prompt her or do anything differently. So this is the same session. It's just going to go slower, but this is actually normal speed. So she was sitting there looking like a statue. And I very, very cautiously and slowly approached her and placed the target and the food just inside the enclosure threshold. And I'm resting the target against one of her hides. I'm resting the target stick on the enclosure threshold because I didn't want my arms to get tired if this took a while. So I positioned it so that those objects could help hold the target for me. And I also wanted to make sure everything stayed completely still. Now look at her body language. I'm going to zoom in further, and this is what I'm watching. She is tongue flicking. She is moving her neck ever so slightly towards the reinforcer, and she is continuing to intermittently tongue flick. And I'm also watching her body, the midline of her body there, below her neck, and it is just moving towards the target and the reinforcer very, very slowly. But the point is that I can see her body moving in the direction of the target and the reinforcer. She is continuing to tongue flick, and so I don't change a thing that I am doing. I just let her, in her own time, do her thing. In this final training session, we're going to take a look at our other Liasis fuscus, another water python. His name is Soval, and he's a year old. So he is captive bred and captive born for several generations. This is his 9th target training session, and you're going to get to see 2 repetitions. The first repetition, he targets out of his hide, and the second repetition, he comes down from his hide towards me, towards the enclosure door. And this is a really fun one. I am going to narrate Soval's session just so that you know what's going on. This first repetition, I'm going to show you twice. Once sped up, and this is from afar. It's the same view I had when I was training him. He targets out of his sky hide, he goes right to the target, and I present the reinforcer. Here is that same session slowed down and zoomed in. I present the target. I can see his tongue flicking out of the sky hide. He starts to bring his nose out, and he slowly brings his body out. He goes right to the target, and I present the reinforcer. His second session, I asked him to come down from the sky hide towards the enclosure threshold, and he did that really quickly, and he fell at the very end, but it didn't seem to faze him, and that was not sped up. So let's watch that again. Well, everybody, I hope you found that educational and helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember to please be kind and always love your animals.